Good evening and welcome everyone to round 6 of the Kart 1988 Championship and the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix, coming to you tonight from the Burke Lakefront Airport circuit in just outside Cleveland, I believe it is. Sorry for being a little bit unprepared as usual, as I just try to get everything sorted. Oh dear me. Let's bring up the track now. There we are. So, track for you now. It's a 2.48 miles long, or barely not scraping 4 kilometers, and we'll be going for 80 laps, which will equal about 198.4 miles. And with me tonight from his car, as well as over radio, is Dave Miller. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Jonathan. Talking to you from the Bettenhausen Lola, just going on to the back straight. Looking forward to another exciting race tonight in the HSO Kart Series.
Sure going to be great. I'll let you talk us through a lap here.
Okay, so coming up towards the start-finish straight now. Grabbing up through the gears, up to 4th, brake nice and early, get the car turned in. Sweep through the chicane there, up towards the Hurst hairpin. Brake just before the 2. Careful not to lock the right front wheel. As we get on the power, coming on to the first of the runways. All the way up to 6th gear, 160 miles an hour. As we brake down, trying to ruin that chap's lap. Classic compromise corner there. You've got to set the car up for the left-hander as you go through the right-hander. Accelerating again, braking, and another very difficult chicane. It's very bumpy on the apex there. Got to be careful not to let the car flick out. Keep it in 4th as we come back onto the taxiways and back onto the second runway, and I've hit the tyres.
Easily done.
Especially when holding the push to talk button, but never mind. Back on the straight. Back up the speed, coming towards the final chicane. Pit exit is to the left. Braking at the 300 metres, or feet, not sure which, through the chain, and that's a lap of the Cleveland circuit.
Just in time for qualifying to end, so thank you very much, Dave. Having looked at that, it's an extremely bumpy circuit. I'd imagine for you, as for everyone else, that will be the biggest challenge.
It is so far. Setting the car up, that's been the hardest part. The car just wants to throw the car out to the outside, and if you hit the bumps at the wrong angle, there's not a lot you can do to stop it.
I can imagine that. And on pole for this race will be David Jakes, as we just wait for the server to roll over so we can have one quick look at his car. Possibly. Oops. There we are. There's David Jakes in the number 71. Mackenzie, I believe that is a Cosworth powered Lola. And that's a very impressive lap, considering he's in the Lola, which generally struggles a little bit on these particular circuits. Unless I'm very much mistaken and that's a March, but I would believe it's a Lola. But yeah, we're at Burke Lakefront Airport, of course, a circuit that actually haven't changed much since years gone by. I believe the first race was held here in 83 or 84, and apart from lessening the width of the track by using cones and those kind of things, it's virtually the same layout back here in 88 as it has been run in the last few years. I believe it's still ran at anyway.
I think it's one of those tracks that dips in and out of the IndyCar schedule these days. I'm not sure it's currently used.
It may have swapped out for something like Laguna Seca. One of those other sort of switcheroo tracks, as you say. Now imagine another very difficult bit of this track will be the pressure put on both gearbox and engine. I'm not sure how well the gearbox forcing will be shown in AMS, since we haven't really ran this kind of heavy undercar track yet, but for sure the engines will struggle around here.
It's a lot of stop-start, a lot of hard acceleration. All the time the car's being shaken to pieces by the bumps. Typical of most airport tracks. It's like Sebring in that way, except sometimes a little bit scarier.
It sort of depends which part of the track you're on, I suppose. With Sebring, the most scary corner, in my view, is Sunset Bend at the very last corner of the track, where you're completely on the concrete. Around here, I'd imagine.
Hey, wake up!
Possibly turn 2.
That's a difficult one. Also, the long triple right-hander almost as you come off onto the runway, back off it, and then onto the other runway, and a big long arc. That's quite a difficult one with the bumps and the way the track narrows.
For sure, this and getting the power on coming out to turn 3, I'd imagine, is also very tricky indeed.
It is. You've got to let the car wants to run all the way to the outside, but you let it go too far, and then that's a problem.
Yep, and at the same time you can't really force it further in either, because then the bumps will cause you to lose grip in the rear and you'll spin.
And with the big turbo power of these cars, that's not easy, difficult to do.
Certainly, and on screen at the moment, while we are waiting for the race to get underway, we are looking at the chap who won last time out at Indianapolis, the Indianapolis 500 event, which is Mick Chapman, who I believe qualified around 13th, 14th position for tonight's event. And that was at Indianapolis, probably one of the most impressive runs I've seen from any driver at that particular racetrack. Staying out of trouble for most of it, and then when the time came, he had a lot of pace. I'm not sure how he will be getting on tonight. I know he's got the Chevrolet power in his car, the Ilmo Chevrolet, and while it has a lot of power, I'd assume it to be very tricky to actually get all that power down here. And also the fuel consumption, of course, with a lot of the track being full throttle.
It's a very thirsty track. I'm using nearly 5 litres a lap in this car.
Wow.
I imagine it's going to be even worse than the Penske.
Well, for sure, especially considering it has a bit more power, a bit more displacement, I think. And of course, as we can see Richard Coxon coming out as well. He's in the Yud, of course, and I'd expect that to be again the best car in terms of fuel. Of course, the Yud a little bit slower over a single lap due to the lack of power, but that fuel consumption will probably mean one less stop around this particular track, at least compared to the Chevrolet. I'm not entirely sure how it ought to compare against the Cosworth.
Bosworth's a bit somewhere in the middle of the two, I'd say.
More or less like it usually is then. We also have, I actually don't know, yeah, Bruno Chacon is here, so we also have the Porsche out here again. Currently 11th on race lap times. Of course the Porsche with the March chassis will surely struggle around here, lacking quite a bit of power and not being able to run as hot as the other cars. Very easy to overheat it, and with less boost comes even less power. But I'm fairly sure Bruno will be able to keep going until the race ends, and considering the harshness of this circuit, I wouldn't put it against him to get a points finish, if maybe even a top 10. Now we have Brian Yannick sitting right behind Bruno. I believe Yannick qualified third for this race. And he's definitely been on form for the last few events. Him and me, of course, teamed up for the Kyalami 1000, a 1000th race of HSO history, where him and me and the Nimrod finished 7th, I think. We ended up in the end. But he was very quick in qualifying, and he was very nearly able to get a podium position at Indianapolis. So I would expect Brian to have a pretty good race around here as well. And Thiago, we have here back on his home turf as it is, with a road course track. So I'd expect him to have a good event as well. Currently second on times, and since we are about a minute away, let's have a quick look at the overall points standings in the championship, where Richard Coxon, despite having a very lackluster event last time out at Indianapolis, leads the championship on 60 points. Thiago Canola, who I think had a rather lackluster event at Indianapolis as well, lies second on 57 points. David Yates lies third on 46 points, and Grant Riddle is fourth on 35 points. And then equal fifth for David Jund and Peter Lavac, both on 28. So it looks like it's currently a two-horse race, but David did what he needed in qualifying at least to get pole, and Grant Riddle ain't far behind, so Thiago and Richard surely won't have it all their own way around here. So it'll be interesting to see, but we are 10 seconds away from session over and very close to the start of the race. So just waiting for the last few cars to finish their laps. And here we have Martin Lassina, of course. He won at Long Beach. So he could of course also have a good race here. Let's see the grid forming up. This is looking fantastic. So we have David Yates, of course, on pole position. Second will be Thiago Canola for Dick Simon Racing. Third will be Brian Yannick for Rayner. Fourth will be Ray Riddle for Patrick Racing. A great effort from Ray. Fifth will be Grant Riddle for Vince Granatelli. Sixth will be Richard Coxon for True Sports. Seventh will be Austin Johnson for Gore Racing. Eighth for Jan Kowalski in the AJ Foyt entry. Ninth for Richard Wilkes and Dick Simon Racing, and rounding out the top 10 in qualifying was Adam Hackman for Craig Racing. 11th for Martin Lassina in the third of the Dick Simon entries. 12th for Jason Whited for leader card. 13th Mick Chapman in the first of the Penske's, and I believe the only Penske here tonight, because Alberto Ibanez is struggling with some power outages. 14th for Jason White and Hemmelgarn Racing. 15th for Peter Lavach for Machinists Union. 16th for David Saber and Newman Haas. 17th for Jason Fitch in the Curb Racing entry, Skoal Bandit car. 18th for Juha Bors and Gallus Racing. 19th for Dave Miller in the Bettenhausen Motorsports. Rounding at the top 20 is Lucas Vidra for Alex Morales Motorsports. 21st for Gerard Riot for Arciero Racing. 22nd for Bruno Chacon for Porsche North America. And I believe last on the grid, 23rd is Raoul Jereb for Doug Shearson Racing. So let's...
And typically, just like almost every other race this season, I just can't seem to get away from Juha Boss.
Well, usually he provides some good racing, so hopefully it'll be perfectly fine, mate.
That wasn't a complaint.
To elaborate on that, in BTCC, Dave and Juha is fighting for the championship in the Privateer Cup. And they've been fighting tooth and nail, door handle to door handle there for the last 8 rounds, something like that.
Almost every race we've been together, it's been fantastic stuff.
Sounds good. Well, best of luck to you, mate, and we'll be hearing from you whenever you feel you have some time to put any knowledge in here, as we are heading into the last chicane to start the race. As David Yates goes through the chicane. Let's just see. Having to wait. But the green flag is out and the race is underway. Oh dear me, there's a bit of a kerfuffle behind. Oh, looks like we had some kind of issue on the server.
That was a restart warm-up there by the admins.
Okay, interesting. I'd assume there's some kind of issue, so we'll be back with you in a moment when we know what is going on.
From the car, looked like David Yates got a spurious drive-through penalty.
Okay, so we'll be heading back to the race. There seemed to have been a slight miscommunication from the game to our pole sitter, so hopefully everything will work out this time around. We can get the race underway. Let's see. It's going to try and get it all back on screen. There we go. So unfortunately one more warm-up lap before we get to watch the race commence, but hopefully it'll be a good one. Okay, so a bit of fuel saving later. We're heading through the third to last turn and on our way to the chicane for the start of this race. See Grant and Austin behind there trying to heat up their tires a little bit. As we'll be heading right about now, then left onto the start-finish straight, which is a very short shoot, and then the race will be underway. And there we are, the race is underway, and this will be a lot closer. I believe that was Thiago Canola taking the lead. I believe that was Richard Coxon. Oh, we have a yellow flag. I'd assume a incident towards the rear of the field. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there between Ryan Yannick and Austin Johnson. Let's try and see if I can see whoever was in there. Looks like Martin Lacina's number 12 machine. Sorry, Gerard Rion. Let's see if he's possibly the one who ended up in trouble. Would seem like it indeed. Let's see what happened here. Well, he is behind. Oh, he just broke way too late and span off into the infield. Slightly hit the front end of his car. Hopefully his car isn't too badly damaged by that. But unfortunately, we have a yellow flag very early on in this race. So everyone will have to find some way of retaining their calm. Mattia Canola with a blistering start will have the lead after this yellow flag period. David Yates second. We have Richard Coxon third, Grant Riddle fourth, Ray Riddle, that's senior fifth, Austin Johnson behind him in sixth, Ryan Yannick in seventh, that's Richard Wilkes in eighth, ninth Ronald Nasina, and rounding out the top 10 is still Jan Wonski. With Adam Hackman in 11th, Peter Lavach behind him in 12th, 13th for Jason White and 14th for Jason White. Jason White, of course, in the second of the yacht-powered cars here tonight, who was a bit of a stack-up. 15th is Mick Chapman, 16th for Juha Bos, 17th for our partner in crime, Dave Miller, 18th for Lukas Vidra, 19th for Raoul Jered, 20th for Brune Chacon, 21st for David Saber. So he had a bit of trouble as well early on in this race, by the looks of things. Jason Fitch also had a bit of trouble getting going, but he should be 22nd. And last on the road at the moment is Gerard Rion. Unfortunately, all that anticipation leads into a yellow, but hopefully everyone will be able to keep calm and we can get some good green flag running and some good fighting all through the field.
Indeed, and that's the pits open to the lead lap vehicles this time around, which is everyone.
Okay, so we'll have this lap and then probably green next time by. Let's see if anyone decides to pit. It doesn't look like it, but
well, there's a few at the back going in.
yeah, looks like that's Raoul Jered, David Saber and Jason Fitch, I believe.
Well, there'll be at least another 2 caution laps here, Jonathan, as I didn't get the one to go signal that time through.
Okay. It's a bit unfortunate for us, but could be a lot worse. At least everyone who wants will be able to get a fuel stop. And possibly some new tires if anyone had a bit of a lock-up somewhere. Actually looks like... Sorry, go ahead.
I suspect that may be what most of the cars who pitted there were doing, as I saw a few of them having big lock-ups, avoiding action in the first chicane.
Okay. There's Jason Fitch getting going. I wonder if David Saber may have nudged the wall somewhere, because he's sitting a bit longer than the other two. Hopefully he'll be able to get out before the safety car comes around again.
I always do find it impressive about the Indy cars is just how economical, I should say, they can be. In that at full power I'm using 5 litres a lap. So far I've, well, only used 3.5.
Okay. That's incredible. That's for good and worse. In real life, of course, when they used less fuel, they weren't running as well, so it wore the engines down. I'm not sure how that's interpreted here, but definitely possible to save a little bit of fuel. Unfortunately, unless David Saber gets going in the next 10 seconds or thereabout, he'll unfortunately drop a lap very early on in this race, and it'll be a tall order to get back from there.
And that's the 1 lap to go, green signal.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. I see, unfortunately, Dave Saber is still in the pits, so he will be 1 lap down after only 4 laps completed here. But surely this yellow flag will at least help everyone who has been able to stay out. Seeing as you mentioned, you had used about 3 liters in 3 completed laps, so I wonder if anyone will... Sorry, go ahead.
As across the line there, I had 149 litres red on the gauge. So that's 6 litres through 4 laps.
Compared to 20 litres at full shaft. That's a lot of saved fuel, and I wonder if anyone will try to go for 1 less stop than they had originally anticipated or intended.
Well, this should be a 2-stop race at 80 laps. Cars will do about 30 laps thereabouts on a tank. Although, indeed, if you can save enough fuel, you may be able to do it on 1.
I'm a bit sad we don't have the now I can't remember the name of the driver and team, but the black, red, yellow stock block, which would have been able to do it on
Dale Coyne car.
Dale Coyne, thank you, which probably would have been able to do it on a no stop with this yellow. Or in a worst case scenario, a quick splash of like 10 seconds to get 20-30 liters into the car. But anyway, we're heading towards the last chicane to restart this race. 5 laps completed, Thiago Knola in the lead. As it looks like Thiago may have picked up a drive-through, I'm not entirely sure. We'll know in a few laps time, but the green flag is out. David Yates retains 2nd, as does Coxon, as he retains 3rd. But here comes Grant looking up the inside into the hairpin, turn 3, and he goes up ahead. Let's see, here comes Austin Johnson flying past Ray Riddle up into 5th. But Austin having to work that car very hard indeed to keep it on the track. Whereas I believe someone has had it off. That's Lacina off. Oh no, that's Canola off. Oh dearie me. See, I wonder if he'll head for the pits if he yeah, I'd assume he had a drive-through then from that restart. So we have Jason White on a very defensive line against Jason White. as Dave Miller, our partner in crime, gets the run on Jason White and goes past up into 13th. Mrs. Day will be very happy with that, I'm sure. As Canola now comes out, so he dropped behind the whole field, more or less. Only Jason Fitch and David Saber behind him. So Thiago will have a lot of work to do here. But David Yates now in the lead with all of that. So he'll be very happy with his position now. With all second, Coxon back up to third because of Canola's off. Austin Johnson 4th, Yannick 5th, Ray Riddle 6th, Kowalski 7th, Ola Sina in the grass in 8th, running very wide indeed, Richard Wilkes trying to get the run. We can see Lavage trying to get the run on Wilkes as well, going down towards the last chicane. Looks like Wilkes held on into there, but I'm not sure how it's on the exit. Looks like he'll stay ahead for now. Everyone trying very hard here. Jason White looks like he's had a bit of an issue somewhere. Mick Chapman dropped back as well. Here comes Canola, goes past Adrian, who's very kindly, it looked like, let off the throttle and let him past. So let's ride on board with Thiago here for just a lap or two, see how much work he can do. Immediately, when he catches up to Mick Chapman, goes up into 17th. Now sitting behind Jason White. I'd assume this to be fairly quick work as well, as long as he can get a run out of here. Jason White runs just a little bit wide, and with his Cosworth power, he should be able to blast past that yard. Looks like he has. Bruno Chacon, unfortunately, looks like he's in the pits. With Shireb and is that you have balls up ahead, has a little bit of a tangle there. So clearly action all the way through the field. With Shireb runs wide, this could be Thiago's opportunity. Not quite, he decides to back off and look towards a better exit instead. I believe he should. Well, that Domino's pizza car definitely has some mumbo in a straight line. But Thiago gets the power down so well coming out of turn 3. Looks like Raul will hold on for now. Oh, Thiago actually dives for it. Wow! Oh, but Raul has an opportunity to come back on the exit, but it looks like Thiago was able to block that off. Let's look a bit further up the field now. Hackman and White are running together. Messina 10th. Yates sets the fastest lap of a 9.1. Wilkes 8th at the moment. Kowalski 7th, sitting close behind Ray Riddle. What I will ask you all to do while we ride on board with Jan, seeing if he can get strips with that Chevrolet powered Lola up ahead. I believe it's Lola. Have a look at that right front tire and suspension of Jan's car here. It's really having to work.
Meanwhile, Thiago's on a right charge. He's just passed me like I was stood still.
Well, he is going quick, but he's dropped another 3 seconds to David Yates, and unfortunately Lucas Vidra has retired. Looks like he's been off somewhere, missing his front wing. Just have a quick look, see if we can see where that happened. At least he was able to pit for repairs, so I'd assume it's an off in the third last turn. It sure is. See, we hit the tires and span into the outside wall. Well, good job by everyone to avoid making contact with him, but unfortunately that's a retirement for Lukas. Raul Reb still in a battle with Juha Bors, and Bors running wide here. That's Raul's opportunity. He dives through, onto the grass he goes, both of them on the grass. Wow. Oh, and Bors with a bit of a run. But no, that Domino's Pizza car has some ponies on that. That must be some right old workhorses there. Was Juha trying to look up the inside? Reb leaves him just a little bit of room in case he decides to dive. That doesn't happen there. Hackman and White are still running together. Lavac and Lasina still running together. Two countrymen, the Czechs of course. And Wilkes trying to catch Ray, but Jan Kowalski has gotten by Ray Riddle while we were checking on Thiago Canola's progress. And Brian Yannick currently 5th, sitting not that far behind Richard Coxon. Austin Johnson has gotten up into 3rd. But Yates sure definitely not running away with this. Grant keeping him very honest indeed. Austin Johnson a little bit further back, but Coxon and Yannick still fairly close to one another. But then there's a big gap back to Jan Kowalski of 10 seconds. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay, it worked. Looks like they were both a little bit unsure of what the other would do there. Ooh, and Ray really sideways in 7th position. Bruno Chacon back out on track, so he is back out after his repairs, trying to get out of the way the best he can. Definitely not an easy thing around here, but looks like he'll let Richard Wilkes pass up the inside here. Or maybe not. Surely the pass or lapping will come here then. And it does, but unfortunately Richard Wilkes in all of that dropped 2 seconds to Ray Riddle. He has Martin Lasina for very close company as well now. As did Dave Miller here. Raoul Jereb runs very wide indeed. And here comes Boers back. So we take that 16th position as Raoul puts a couple of tires on the grass as well. Ooh, and Jason White a little bit sideways there, but doing a good job so far, sitting in 17th position. Mick Chapman 18th, trying to get to grips with that Yard power up ahead. Gerard Rion doing a good job keeping it on the grey stuff in 19th. And Jason Fitch looks like he is in the process of being lapped by the leaders. That's Grant Riddle going past him. David Saber currently 21st and Bruno Chacon 22nd with, unfortunately, Lucas Vidra. Our retirement from this race so far, as David Yates now heads upon Gerard Rion and Rion gets out of the way. Well, Richard Coxon must have had a moment somewhere because he's dropped a lot of time. Let's see if we can possibly catch where that happened. Oh, he span coming through the first turn. Oh, yeah, just a little bit too late on the brakes. Got the rear right out in the dirty stuff. Looks like he may have just very lightly grazed the pit exit wall there, but shouldn't be any damage to his car and he should be able to keep going. That's proving how hard he's working to try and keep the car ahead of the others. Wilkes and Lasina still running very close to one another here. Oh, and unfortunately Dave Miller in the pits. What happened, Dave?
Steering failure. I'm having to set my wheel.
Oh dear. Bad luck, mate.
Could have continued, but it was driving like a truck, so no.
Okay. Well, you're back out. Still... okay, just barely off the lead lap, so still a lot of opportunity ahead, so best of luck, mate, for the rest of this race. So Mick Chapman up into 17th, Jason White up into 16th, both still sitting behind Raoul Jereb in 15th and 14th respectively. Jason White is still behind Adam Hackman. Still fighting hard, these two, to try and overcome the other. as Jason White misses a gear. Don't want to do too much of that, but I love that a bit of fuel overrun. Of course, we unfortunately have a yellow, a full course yellow coming in. Not sure. Oh, that's Gerard Rion with a big off here. All kinds of cars and car and pieces and everything you can imagine. Looks like he may even have been hit by someone here. Oh, he hit the tires on the entry. Oh, and Coxon with nowhere to go. Oh dearie me, that's such bad luck for Richard. And for Gerard, of course. I think Gerard would have been able to keep going if he hadn't been hit. It was David Sabre has nowhere to go either and hits him. Oh dearie me. That's some really bad luck for these guys. When Coxon actually... Oh, Coxon has to retire! Well, he did lose his front left wheel in that accident. Or it just completely understeers off. I can understand why Richard decided to retire the car. That's really bad luck for him. He was leading the championship, and as long as Tiago Canola now finishes decently in this race, within the top 10 I'd assume, he will take over the championship lead. Dear me. What about David Sabre? How's his car holding up? Looks like, while it may be damaged, it looks like it's drivable. So unfortunately a double retirement from that incident. But since we are under yellow flag here, we will have a look at the trivia question while we wait for everything to play out with possible fuel stops and so on. So the question for you this evening, thank you to Jason White who has provided me with all the graphics and this question. Who won the Grand Prix of Cleveland on July 5th, 1987? Was it A. Bobby Rahal, B. Emerson Fittipaldi, or C. Danny Sullivan? I had a go at the question, I got it wrong, but it's a very good question, I'd say. Would of course come back to that, but I'll leave you to ponder that question for, say, about 40 laps or so. We'll come back to it when we are around the 60 lap marker, or the second set of pit stops. As we now come back on track, and it looks like we have a few pit stop takers. Here, looks like most of the top of the field is heading into the pits. So we have David Yates, Grant Riddall, Austin Johnson, Brian Yannick, Jan Kowalski, Ray Riddall, Richard Wilkes, Anton Lasina, Hackman, Whitehead. We have a few more takers towards the rear of the field with Juha Bors, Jason White and Mick Chapman. Let's see, so those who has decided to stay out, looks like Martin Lasina, Dave Miller of course, who ended up just off the lead lap, but hopefully you'll be able to stay there and have another yellow to help you to retain your lead lap position now. But Martin Lasina and Peter Lavac both decided to stay out. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, certainly hope so.
Yeah. Raul Jereb also stayed out, but he is the last of those who decided to stay out. David Yates burst out of the pits, so he, on the count back, ought to retain his race lead. But this of course helps Tiago Canola quite a bit. Looks like he's up into effective 4th position here. He jumped both Ray Riddall and Richard Wilkes and Brian Yannick and Jan Kowalski in the pits. That's a very good pit stop for Thiago. It will be interesting to see what he can do from here on out. It looks like Jason Fitch will be heading into the pits here. For his pit stop after 21 completed laps.
That'll be safety car in this lap.
Okay, thank you very much. So one more lap here, we'll be good to go with Martin Lassina in the lead, but Dave of course ahead of him on track. And Martin himself has a lap car between him and Peter Lavach, so this could be a very good opportunity for Martin to open up a bit of a gap, but we'll see what happens. And of course it'll also be interesting to see what Thiago Canola can do from current 7th but effective 4th place in the race. And no, Scott, it's not on a Commodore 64. The problem is my internet connection doesn't allow for higher than what YouTube says. This is okay, because before they did that change I could run it on one higher than what it's probably on now. But the good news in terms of my internet connection, I will be getting fiber in the latest this December, but hopefully around the end of August, early September, I'll be getting fiber internet, and I'll also, as just like Jason, be able to broadcast on 720 or even 1080. I suppose the way to look at that is good comes to those who wait. But anyway, race is about to resume. Field is under control of Dave, with Martin Lassina in the lead. There we go, green flag is out. Unfortunately, Martin Lassina way off the road. That's a massive mistake from him. And Dave trying to get out of the way of everyone else. See, I'm on board with Thiago here, see what he is looking at. As he is trying to get to grips with Raul here, but Raul holds on for now. We have unfortunately another yellow out here. Not sure what for, with Jason White and it looks like Mick Chapman may have had a coming together. So Mick Chapman going up the inside. Oh, so Jason with the wide line cuts back to try and get to the racing line. Unfortunately Mick Chapman was far enough inside by the looks of things to ask for that track position. He's certainly far enough out there, so yes, unfortunately just two cars looking for the same piece of track by all accounts. So unfortunately that's us under another yellow, but now at least we have the leading cars in line. Unfortunately a bit of bad luck for Dave to not hold the lead lap, but it is what it is. If we get another sort of pit stop on the yellow, I will be showing those. So while we're waiting, I hope the weather is good elsewhere in the world. We've been having very good weather here in Sweden, around somewhere around the 25 Celsius for this weekend, with a lot of sun and not a lot of clouds. So been very nice weather here. As we have Peter Lavach and I believe that's Raul Red heading into the pits. Whereas Peter Lavach unfortunately picks up a 10-second stop and go. I wonder if that's for passing the safety car or something. I think he did that when he was heading into the pits, so I'm not sure, but that's a very costly error.
And that'll be the safety car in at the end of this lap.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. So we'll be back racing, as Dave said, on the end of this lap, and it'll be interesting how to see if we can get some green flag running and what will happen with the overall battles, as of course David Yates got a little bit compromised on that restart, dropping to third. We can see that David Saber doing his best to try and stay out of everyone's way on the yellow flag lap, and I'd assume he'll try to get out of the way straight away on the restart as well. Problem is you can't really stop on the side of the road to get out of the way because you'll bring out another yellow, so that aspect of it makes it a little bit trickier to be lapped in this series, but we just have to work together to sort those kind of situations out.
Can be tricky. We don't have the big performance difference we had at Kalami last week.
Oh, certainly not. And there were some crazy performance differences there as well. It was one of those in the straight line, for example, and Nimrod wasn't that slow, but then when it came to the quick corners, you at least when driving a Nimrod or one of the other lesser downforce cars and you had a Porsche around, I was like, okay, he'll probably not be close enough to look for anything here, but 2 corners before you thought he'd be on you, he was already going past. But we are back to get another restart going, and there's a big gap between Grant and Martin. Not sure why that is. Well, we have green flag out, and Martin has quite a bit of a gap. As David Yates trying to lap David Saby going through turn 1, and he does so. And here is Grant looking for a wider run to try and get a run onto this back straight. Looks like he has a bit of a run, but not a big enough run to do anything with it. But he's a lot quicker in the chicane. Or right-left combination. Ooh, as Martin puts a couple of tires on the grass as well. And here he comes up the inside. Is Grant, and I believe that's the position taken. There it is, and David Yates looking to get in on the action as well. Up the inside he goes. Ooh, but Martin's able to hold on for now. Some stern defensive there. But nothing that was over aggressive, I don't think. Talking of the great weather, downside is all the mosquitoes and stuff. There we go. Sorry, I had to close my window here. But Martin has retained his 2nd position. David Yates right behind him. Austin Johnson not far behind, and neither is Thiago Canola. Ooh, as Martin gets it really sideways. But he gets a good exit. This is a great 4-car drain. Ooh, as Austin has a bit of a moment, runs a little bit wide, but Thiago can't do anything with it. But Thiago has gained 2 positions since the restart. Gonna pass Kowalski and Yannick. Oh, and I believe Thiago should have the run here. Could try to look for a move. Here comes Yates now with a run on Martin. See if he can get up into 2nd and chase after Grant. Yates down, the inside he goes. Looks like he has the possession sewn up. Ooh, and Austin with a very aggressive move up the inside. Martin opening up the door, and Thiago trying to take advantage as well. Looks for the cutback. That bumpy right-hander is very tricky to try and take advantage of anything. Oh, but Thiago with a massive run, probably a bit of boost as well, but Martin has some power as well and stays ahead for now. Oh, Martin all over the grass on the exit of the last turn. I wonder if it wouldn't be better for Martin to let Thiago by as well and try to find his groove, instead of risking a crash because he's driving a bit too hard. Of course, they are teammates in Dick Simon's stable, so presumably they have about the same equipment, so it would be tricky for Thiago to get by. But all Thiago has to do here technically is to finish and he'll take this championship lead, so I wouldn't expect him to try anything too over aggressive. As you can see here comes Kowalski and Yannick. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Hackman and Wilkes, and another bit of a gap to Balls and Whited. And here comes Dave. In the middle of that is, here comes Chacon and Chapman. I believe that was Ray Riddle, Jason White, and Raoul Reb, I assume, in the middle of those. Here comes Jason Fitch and Peter Lavac. Jason Fitch getting out of the way of Lavac there. Oh, and Jason White unfortunately has had a bit of a spin. Possibly getting caught out. Ooh. Yeah, broke a little bit too late. Made just a tiny bit of contact with Raoul Reb, a half spin, but was able to keep going, hopefully with no damage to his car. Here we have one of the battles on track at the moment between Whited and the Boss. Boss, of course, wasn't sure. Oh, as he gets very crossed up. Boss wasn't sure if he would be able to get here tonight, so I think it's a bonus for him just to be running in this race. But Jason Whited on the dirty line there, loses out. David Saber unfortunately has decided to retire. I assume the car was too damaged in the end to be running safely. Here comes. Actually, I thought White had a run, but Johan Boos, of course, has the Elmore Chevrolet power plant, so he's running the most powerful engine in the field. Along with, I think it's 6 other cars that has that particular Elmore Chevrolet engine. But here, Jason Whited has a bit of a run. Maybe he could make use of it, but nope. Juha just puts the throttle down and says, "See you later." Ooh, as Whited has a bit of a tank slapper going into what I would say is turn 4. Closer is this battle between Hackman and Wilkes. I just love this kind of camera angle, looking back from underneath the rear wing where you can see the suspension working. You can still see the car following. Looks like on the counter there that Martin Asina has had a bit of a moment. He's down into 5th now. A few seconds behind, so Johnson and Canola safely in 3rd and 4th at the moment. And it also looked like David Yates has closed in quite a bit on... Well, actually Canola just took 3rd. We just had a much better run off the 3rd to last turn and blasted past down the straight. Well, David Yates has taken the lead as well. I wonder if Grant made a mistake in turn 1 and 2. No, we actually decided to let him by. Wow, okay. So Grant is running to either a fuel number or lap time number of some kind. And that's the limit for him at the moment. And Jan Kowalski in 6th. Great effort from him in the AJ Foyt entry. Brian Yannick currently sitting in 7th. Possibly biding his time a little bit. And Hackman still with Richard Wilkes behind him. You have Bose still under attack from Jason Whited. Oh, as Bose gets it really crossed up, I think that might be White's opportunity. Actually not. Your Bose takes the very wide line. Oh dearie me. Whited way off the road. Rejoins. And drops 5 to 6 seconds it'll be to your Bose. You can see that Dave Miller under attack from Mick Chapman, who's trying to put a lap. And Dave very sportingly tries to get out of the way. Of course there isn't much room, but the two of them work it out. See, let's go back up into Brian Yannick and Jan Kowalski battles. It does look like Brian ought to be able to run a little bit quicker than what Jan is, but Dirty Air is definitely a difficult thing to work with and against. So I believe someone was into the pits. No? Okay, sorry, I saw that wrongly. But we do have a yellow flag coming out. And see, possibly looks like Jason White may have had a spin.
Looked like you had Boss into the wall just before the pits.
Oh, Jason White had a spin as well. I wonder if that was as an answer to the yellow coming out though. Oh, it definitely looks like someone was in the wall here. Oh, there he is, you have balls. Let's see. Oh dear me. Let's see. Yeah, oh, he put the left-hand tires on the grass and just couldn't collect it in time and hits the wall very hard indeed. Loses a wheel, and unfortunately Jason White collects that wheel. Probably he hasn't picked up too much damage, but unfortunately Juha Bose has retired. Let's just quickly jump on board. See how Jason White is having any steering damage from that. Looks like he's able to run the car straight, or steering wheel straight, so should be able to keep going. But with that, David Yates heads up behind the safety car to lead the train on the yellow, with Grant Riddell in 2nd, Thiago Canola in 3rd, Austin Johnson currently 4th, with Martin Lasina 5th, and I'd expect Martin to be heading into the pits during this yellow flag period. Brian Yannick got by Jan Kowalski just before the yellow came out, so Yannick up into 6th, Kowalski back down to 7th. Adam Hackman currently laying in 8th, with Richard Wilkes 9th, and Jason Whited rounding out top 10. 11th is Mick Chapman, with 12th for Ray Riddle, 13th for Raoul Direb, and 14th for Peter Lavach. 15th for Jason White with a small hard spin as the yellow came out, but hopefully no flat spots and anything, and he can keep going. 16th currently is Dave Miller, and 17th and off the road at the moment is Jason Fitch, whatever calls that. Oh dear, oops, okay. So looks like he were probably fiddling with a setting or something in the car and lost track of where he was. And last car running, still having to unlap himself from Juha Bols, is Bruno Chacon, who will be in 18th. You can see there Jason White, one of those heading into the pits. We also have Ray Riddle and Jason Whited. We also have Hackman and Lasina. Owen Whited slightly getting caught up behind Jason White, but gets going. Looks like a bit of a troublesome front left for Jason White there, but his pit crew is able to get it sorted and a quick stop there. Unfortunately for Ray Riddle, looks like a longer stop for him. Not sure if he may have picked up damage somewhere, which he feels needs to be repaired.
That's what I'll be doing this stop, Jonathan. I got clipped at the last restart. The car's crabbing a little bit, so we'll get that fixed and then we'll attempt to run to the end.
Oh dear, okay. I certainly hope it'll work for you to run towards the end.
I think a few laps of fuel saving should be alright.
Okay, sounds interesting. It'll be very interesting indeed to see how that goes. So it'll be one more stop for, I think, everyone on the lead lap. Even Martin Lasina, although he may run a very high fuel saving run and try to make it anyway. Interesting to see how that works out as well, but here comes actually a late stop by Jan Kowalski. And of course Dave, who told us he was coming in, and Jason Fitch as well follows Dave into the pits. When Ray gets going just as Jan Kowalski comes in, I wonder if Ray will be able to beat everyone out. Looks like Jason Fitch has picked up a stop and go, not sure what for. And unfortunately for Ray Riddle, he hasn't beaten the safety car. It looks like he is told to actually go past the safety car, so he retains his lead lap position with a little bit of good fortune.
Unfortunately for me, it's a 2-minute stop, so I'll probably be losing another lap here.
It's very, very bad luck for you, mate. You can see here Ray Riddle blasting around the track, trying to catch back up to the train. The Emerson Fittipaldi Patrick Racing Marlboro sponsored car.
Well, not sure now, looking at where the safety car is, there's a chance I might get out and stay only 1 lap down.
I assume it'll be a tight squeeze, but anything is possible.
Very tight, I've got 30 seconds to go on the repairs.
Okay. The general call in terms of the weather in Britain usually is a little bit of wet and windy, isn't it? At least I thought that was the normal situation, that or fog, according to a comic strip I read when I was little. Sounds like all of you are struggling a little bit with a bit cooler weather, but looks like green flag comes out this time around, and David Yates holds the lead. But okay, they survive. Thiago Canola goes around outside of Grant Riddle. They both make a little bit of contact going through turn 2. Slightly scraping the wall is Grant Riddle, but hopefully both of them survive without damage. And Austin Johnson gets by Grant Riddle as well in all of that melee. So David Yates retains his lead with 1 more stop to go. Looks like the top few drivers is opening up a bit of a gap to one another. But with all, I believe, on the back straight, got back past Austin Johnson. Actually happened earlier still. As we have someone heading into the pits, I'd assume that could be Jason Fitch for his 10-second stop and go. We have Dave Miller, of course, running 17th, possibly catching back up to Jason Fitch to run 16th. As Jason Fitch is coming out of the pits now, so maybe not, but at least gaining a little bit of time back there. As we have Jason White and Ray Riddle, and a little bit of a fight here. Bruno Chacon up ahead, as we have a little bit of grass kicked up a bit further ahead of us. Looks like Jason's car is moving around a little bit. Raul Yoheb yet again in one of these American Formula Series is doing a very good job. And sitting 8th in this race and been up in the top 10 for all of this evening's racing. Sitting right behind Peter Lavach at the moment. I'm assuming to be able to do something about that. Richard Wilkes currently fifth with Brian Yannick right behind him looking for a way past. Richard Wilkes takes the defensive line. Let's see if Yannick can get a run coming off of turn 5. Looks like he does. He's going up the inside. And he takes 5th away from Richard Wilkes. Lavach still under attack from Raoul Yareb. Actually, looks like it's very tight for the lead as well. It is. We have Canola sitting right behind David Yates now. Grant Vidal trying to do what he can to catch up to the view ahead. Actually slightly scraping the wall down is David Yates. So definitely running hard at the moment. Well, now it's Canola possibly scraping the wall just a tiny bit coming out of turn 2. So everyone running very hard indeed. And since it's more or less a one-stop sprint to the end of the race for leading few cars, and we have leading 3 cars within 2 seconds of one another, as Dave Miller gets left. And then there's a gap of 8 seconds to the 4th place car of, I'd assume that's Austin Johnson. It is indeed, so sorry, not quite that much, but 4 or 5 seconds back. Looks like David Yates has found a little bit of his groove. As I say that, he misses a gear on the start finish straight, drops a few tenths. And we're also getting into the last quarter of towards the last quarter of the race, where we may see the car starting to give up on our drivers through engine failures and similar issues. Looks like David Yates has opened up a gap closer between 2nd and 3rd. Looks like Yannick, once he got past Richard Wilkes, is definitely running a quicker average lap time. Lavach and Yareb has spread out just a tiny bit. And there's Martin Lassino with a gap back to Jason Whitehead. Another bit of a gap down to Ray Vidal, and then a gap back to Mick Chapman. And Adam Hackman a further few seconds behind, as is Jason White. Jan Kowalski as well with that late pit stop last time round, running 15th at the moment. 6.5 seconds behind the cars in front. I wonder if he is suddenly struggling with some kind of issue. That's Jonatan Grant Vidal and Vince Granatelli racing car, sitting currently 2 to 3 tenths behind Thiago Canola in battle for second and third. With David Yates not that far up the road either. Grant Vidal actually goes up the inside of Thiago Canola there. I actually didn't catch that because I was checking on something else. I caught the end of it. So Grant with a fantastic run coming out off of turn 3, and Canola decided not to fight it towards the entry of turn 4 and releases second to Grant Vidal. That's a great move from Grant. As we can see, Jason Fitch heading for the pits. A little bit slow, so possibly with a little bit of damage to be repaired. Unfortunately for both Grant and Thiago, with that move and position swapping going on, Yates open up a 3-second gap. And it would look like there's a bit of a difference in how the cars are working with fuel as well. Thiago was very quick with a lot of fuel in the car, but now that a bit of it has dropped, has been consumed, he is struggling a little bit for pace. And as I say that, he closes in on Grant yet again. Definitely looks like Grant has the most amount of power down the straight, down to these 3. With that, it looks like the battle here has somewhat calmed down, but the battle for 8th and 9th is still going on. Between Martin Marcin and Raul Jereb. And unfortunately, Jason Fitch decided to park the car and retire, presumably with too much damage to be repaired. As Raul Jereb scrapes the wall, and here he comes down the straight with a massive run. He actually gets by the Domino's pizza car, but Martin Lacina looking up the inside into turn 1, it looks like he has the position secured. So great position of swapping right here, good fighting between the two of them. Looks like Raul Jereb is running some very aggressive lines some of the corners. Oh, Smadlasina actually hits the wall there. That will have caused a little bit of damage, not sure how much. For the very moment it seems okay, as Raoul has to have a few stabs to get the car going out of the last turn, whereas he slightly hits the wall coming up of turn 2, possibly also picking up a little bit of damage there. Looks like David Yates is pulling away at the front, but second and third in Riddle and Canola is still staying fairly close. Oh, as Canola, I believe, struck the wall coming off of 2 there. As Grant is running wide. Oh, and he gets a bit of sideways as well. But he has some tremendous straight line speed. As Grant now touches the wall coming out of the second turn, whereas Bruno Chacon rejoins after his presumably last pit stop with 17 laps to go. Sorry, 27 laps to go. Looks like Jan Kowalski is on the move here, goes up the inside of Adam Hackman for 13th. Gets it a little bit sideways, coming through turn 3. Ooh, as he misses a gear as well. Looks like he holds on fairly comfortably ahead of Adam Hackman for now. 3.5 seconds to go to catch up to the car in front. Really sideways. Mr. AJ Foyt car. It's Nick Chapman up ahead. But Kowalski definitely has his car working very well. Looks like he's running some very competitive lap times. Especially impressive through that left-right combination. He's comes on the throttle from the exit of the left-hander all the way through onto the last few corners before the short shoot for the last chicane. So very impressive indeed, as that's definitely someone into the pits. That's Ray Riddle in for his last stop, 26 laps from the end. So we have David Yates pitting from the lead. I think Austin Johnson is on his way into the pits as well. David Yates now gets to stop in his pit stall. 24 laps from the end. He's already out. It looked like a pretty quick stop, actually a little bit quicker than Austin, I think. As David Yates gingerly re-enters the track with cold tires and a full tank of fuel, or as much fuel as he needs to get to the end. Now David here has the fuel numbers down to a T and knows exactly how much he needs. We'll see, Thiago puts a lap on Jason White right there. Still holding on to the lead. Brian Yannick second at the moment, Wilkes third, and it's David Yates. Peter Lavach actually ahead of Grant Riddle. Grant Riddle heading into the pits not that long ago. Austin Johnson actually way behind. So I wonder if he took too much fuel on or whatever happened there, but Peter Lavach holding on to his position for now. So we can see here in the background someone heading into the pits. This is very unfortunate for Grant. He would have wanted to get some clean track to try and gain some time on David Yates, but instead he ends up right behind the Machinist Union entry. Wow, but Grant should have a run here. Possibly looking up the inside. Doesn't quite do it, but maybe he'll have a run here. Whoa, Lavach misses a gear. Lavach is up in the third, so one of the leading cars heading into the pits there. There's Grant with a run, but can't make anything of it, and here comes Martin Lassine as well. See Austin Johnson, Brian Yannick now behind him. Jason White behind Yannick. There's Raoul Reb, so Richard Wilkes definitely headed into the pits. Possibly someone else headed into the pits as well, not entirely sure. Kowalski up into 11th and should gain another couple of positions as others pit. As here comes Peter Lavach heading into the pits, but unfortunately for Grant, he has lost quite a bit of time, and Lassina right behind him now. So it'll be interesting to see where Thiago Canola comes out and how long he's able to run as well. he's currently losing time to David Yates. I wonder if he should just pit right now and try to gain track position. Yes, now he comes into the pit, so this will be the telltale sign. So we had a 20-second difference. I don't think it'll be enough, but could be. Quick set of tires. Here comes Yates. Yates up into the lead as Canola gets going, so he'll have 10 seconds or something to try and gain back on David Yates once he gets up to speed. So 20 laps to go exactly when Thiago Canola makes his last stop. So even with a shorter fuel stop, he couldn't stay ahead of David Yates. It's very impressive from David, being able to run that fast. Let's drop that fuel over. Yeah, it'll be a tall task for Thiago to gain back those 7.5 seconds, but I wouldn't put it past him to be able to do so. Well, it says 8 seconds here, so another lap or two, how it's panning out. Looks like in the meantime that Johnson just got past Van Yannick. Oh, okay, was ahead already, but it looked very close in the time difference between them. Jason Whiter with a very strong run at the moment in the 7th. I think he has one more stop to make. See that mix-up getting out of the way of Yannick and Johnson. Yannick doing his best to hold on to Johnson. I think Yannick ought to be a little bit quicker as the fuel burns off. It's all a question of staying within touching distance as Austin runs a little bit deep into the last chicane. and unfortunately... Oh, dearie me! Oh no! Oh no! Austin! Oh, dearie me. That's such bad luck. Austin Johnson unfortunately retires. Hits the wall on the exit of the third last turn. Unfortunately, a car was in the middle of the road. I couldn't quite catch who that was. It's a car who itself hit the wall very hard indeed. So that's a godsend for Thiago Canola and Grant Woodall, obviously, and Brian Yannick to be able to catch up to the rest. But Austin Johnson and Martin Hasina unfortunately both retires from the race. I'll just try to have a quick look and see how it came to be that. Okay, so Martin, just like others has done before him, put the left side tires on the grass, and it was enough to make the car uncontrollable going into the first last turn, and he hits the tire wall on the outside. It's really bad luck for him, but and for Austin Johnson even more so, because he was battling for a possible win. But with that we have a yellow flag period of 3 to 4 laps, and then we'll have a 10 to 12 lap sprint to the end of the race. And while we wait, we'll have a look at the trivia question, and answer obviously, which reads: who won the Grand Prix of Cleveland on July 5th? Uh, 1987. Was it A, Bobby Rahal, B, Emerson Fittipaldi, or C, Danny Sullivan? Do you have any guesses, Dave?
I would go for Rahal.
Okay. And your missus goes for C, Danny Sullivan. And the answer actually is B, Emerson Fittipaldi. Won the previous year's race. And Barry Lynn definitely has it right. It was Emerson Fittipaldi, obviously. Came over as a F1 driver and did a very good job in the kart series. Won several races after his F1 career ended, and I believe also won a championship somewhere along the way.
Indeed, I believe he came to IndyCar. He became fed up with the ground effect cars in Formula 1. I believe after speaking to Mario Andretti and being told it's just like Formula 5000, the decision was made.
I can definitely understand. Down for well, ground effects cars are very difficult to drive and very difficult to understand to make them work. For me, they give very mixed signals when they are in sim racing terms, and I'd expect it to be very similar in real life as well.
And in real life, those particular cars of the early 80s had a habit of beating drivers up.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Very few of them had any kind of steering aid in power steering or anything like that. And of course, for example, this track, it was usually similar to how Ayrton Senna was completely destroyed after winning his first home Grand Prix. They would have to be lifted out of the cars by their team members.
Well, just with a relatively cheap sim racing wheel and using auto clutch and paddle shift, I'm sweating. I'd hate to think what it's like to do this in a real car.
You'd probably be losing 20 kilos of your body weight.
I think the head would have fallen off.
Definitely not impossible. I know when Richard Hammond of Top Gear had the opportunity to drive a few different Formula cars in the Renault, among the Renault team's iterations of different Formula cars, his biggest issue was his head being ripped off. And even the engineer who were looking after the cars and everything was saying he needs to get into the bigger cars right now. We would optimally want him to run a few more laps in this car, but if we don't put him in the faster car, his neck will soon go and he won't be able to drive it at all.
And that was only on the Silverstone Stowe circuit, which, as tracks go, is not that demanding, physically at least.
I believe it has, 5 corners or something? It's fairly low speed.
They're all hairpins and it's over 1 kilometre in length. While in our race now, we bring the car in for a final splash and dash. Wasn't able to save enough fuel, so quick top up and we'll be back on for the last run for home.
Yep, and Jason White up ahead of you does the same by the looks of things. As we can see, David Yates trailing the safety car by less than a meter, I think. Or less than a yard, to use the American term. Which I think is about 1.4 or 1.6 meter. I think it's 1.4 meters in 1 yard. So I'd assume a green flag next time by. So it'll be a 12 lap.
Indeed.
Cheers, so it'll be a 12 lap sprint. And this will be a hectic one. Top 4 running line astern. And it's David Yates in the lead, Canola second, with all Grant third and Ryan Yannick fourth. And Richard Wilkes currently in 5th, also in with a chance here if he can get by Mick Chapman very quickly on the restart. And to be fair, Adam Hackman running 6th at the moment is doing a fantastic job, and he's not that far behind either, so there's still an opportunity for a top 3 podium position for either of those two if anything happens up ahead or if they have enough pace towards the end of this race. And Rodi Reb not far behind either, running right behind them. So a lot of cars in with a shot here at the top 5 or even a podium finish in this race. Thank you very much, Kat. It's 1 yard is 0.9 meters. My apologies. As a Scandinavian, I very rarely come into contact with either. Sorry to hear it, Austin. You definitely have a lot of bad luck with that situation today, but I hope you decide to run at least a couple of more rounds. You're still in the top 5 in the championship. As we have the green flag about to come out, as David Yates leads the car down into the final chicane. Cars behind, really bunching up. And Grant, I think, actually jumped the start right there. And he's up the inside. Oh, there's actually a bit of contact between him and David Yates. Both survive. I don't think Grant will be as supporting to David Yates this time around about letting him back past. David Yates with a massive run. He actually blasts past Grant on the straight. What immense speed. And Hackman actually up into 5th, so Richard Willis has lost out on the restart. David Yates leads after the first lap after the restart. Here comes Grant. Good run through turns 1 and 2. Looking for a run up of turn 3 in the draft. Barely able to hang David Yates, so Yates definitely has the car very well set up. Grant gets sideways. Here comes Canola with a run. Is he actually going to go round outside? He does! What a fantastic move! When Grant looking back up the inside, not able to make it there. Oh, he actually runs wide. Here comes Brian Yannick up the inside. Oh, there's contact! Oh, nicely held Grant. And Brian sportingly looks like he actually looked like Brian wasn't sure he should be taking the position, but he breaks up the inside now and takes 3rd away from Grant with all. When now Brian gets really crossed up and Grant looking up around outside, but all that leaves David Yates to pull away. Oh, Grant with a big tank stamper in 4th. And Adam Hackman still in 5th, now with Richard Wilkes behind him. With Lavage 7th, Jan Kowalski currently 8th, Ray Riddle behind him in 9th. Ooh! Deary me, what a late braking maneuver from Jan Kowalski. That was very aggressive, but it worked. He got up the inside and gets past Peter Lavage, and here comes Ray Riddle up the inside of Peter Lavage as well, so Lavage loses 2 positions in 3 corners. So Kowalski up into 7th, Ray Riddle up into 8th, Peter Lavage down into 9th, and Jason Whitehead currently 10th. And Grant surely hasn't given up on regaining 3rd position. Looks like unless something happens for David Yates, he should be able to hold on, but we'll see what happens towards the end of the race. And I wonder what Ray Riddle and Jan Kowalski can do about the cars ahead, since they are now free of Peter Lavage Machinists Union Racing entry. Of course, Ray running one of the Ilmore Chevrolets. Seemingly struggling just a little bit in the dirty air behind Jan Kowalski. Oh, but both of them really closing into the cars in front in the form of Adam Hackman and Richard Wilkes. So it looks like Adam Hackman currently holding up, especially Richard Wilkes. As Richard Wilkes goes up the inside, almost a little bit of contact there. Oh, and Hackman's so slow off the corner, he loses 3 positions on the exit. Oh dear me, that's unfortunate for Adam, as Jan Kowalski gets it really crossed up coming through turn 2. So that's Wilkes up into 5th, Kowalski now 6th, Ray Riddle 7th. When Ray has to rethink his throttle application there, as Brian Yannick and Grant Riddle is fighting hard up ahead. You notice them swapping positions on the entry to that right-left combination, but here he comes up the inside. Oh, there's contact! Oh, dearie me! Oh no! Brian Yannick unfortunately spins onto the grass, tries to rejoin wherever he can. There he goes. He'll be joined just ahead of Richard Wilkes. I honestly don't think there was anything wrong in Grant Widall going up the inside there, just one of those things. It definitely looks like Adam Hackman is struggling at the moment for pace. Jan Kowalski clearly working well. Here he goes up the inside of Richard Wilkes and takes 5th away. I wonder if he may even be able to take 4th from Brian Yannick here before the end of the race. Looks like Canola has sort of been able to maintain the difference of about 1.5 to 2 seconds, but one of those he's able to hold on, but I don't think he's able to close in. See how Kowalski's riding the wheels of the car, trying to catch up to Brian Yannick up ahead. All crossed up and stuff, so definitely working very hard indeed. And there's Grant Widall up ahead. I wonder if Grant is actually going to let Brian by. He does. So Grant felt he was at fault for that incident earlier, and he lets him by now. Now Jan is looking at a possible 3rd position in this race. Currently 5th with 6 laps to go. Not that far behind is Richard Wilkes and Ray Widall as well. Oh, and there goes Jan Kowalski up the inside of Grant Widall. A very late braking maneuver once again, but I think he may have the position sewn up. Oh no, he's on the grass. Oh, he's actually able to hold it around outside. Jan Kowalski definitely putting on a show towards the end of this race. Definitely has saved some performance in the car before the end of the race. Oh! As it looked like Grant Widall was cutting it very fine with the pit entry differentiation wall. What it looks like that Jan Kowalski is able to do very well is get power on very early out of the turns. That's how he's gaining a lot of his time. And of course he's also very late on the brakes into the turn, so he has a very well thought out car and setup and strategy here. As he's really closing in on Brian Yannick. Runs a little bit too deep there though. Oh, and gets it very crossed up, but he's able to hold it. As Grant again closes up. Nice look for a move. Just trying to keep a lap on an eye on the cars in front, but nothing really changing there. But very close between Wilkes and Widall for 6th and 7th behind these cars. Four laps left for Brian Yannick to hold on to take 3rd in this race. Same for Yates obviously to take the win, for Canola to take 2nd. Ooh, as Yannick misses a gear. Oh, and Grant looking up the inside. Both Kowalski and Grant Widall very late on the brakes into that right-hander. Jan running right out to the white line, and now able to keep a very high mid-corner speed through there. Gains some time on Ryan Yannick up ahead and keeps Grant behind him. Oh, as Kowalski gets very crossed up, Riddle gets on the grass and can't take advantage. And especially on the direction changes, Jan Kowalski's car is working very well. Very quick through 1 and 2. Oh, but it looks like he may have overheated his rears. But he's fighting the car far more than he was a few laps to go. 3 laps to go in this race. Oh, as Kowalski with a big loose moment there. Dear me, he really wants that 3rd position if he can get it. Really working hard. It's amazing to see how much Wilkes and Ray Riddle has dropped off the back of these guys. Jan looking for a run off turn 2, he gets crossed up though. With the wheel spin, Grant looking up the inside. On a tiny bit of contact there, but Grant takes position, gets a little bit sideways. This will let Brian rump away. It was unfortunate for Jan, but a good move from Grant. Kowalski trying to run around outside there by the looks of things, but as Grant hits the wall on the extra third last time there. Definitely looks like Jan Kowalski used up a bit too much of his tires. Now it's Grant with a lot of pace with, I believe this may even be the final lap of the race. 79 completed. Let's get up here and give David Yates his dues. The Arcanola has kept him honest towards the end of this race, but Yates with a fantastic run. It's looking like he will take the win here. As he heads through.
Should just be starting the final lap now.
Okay, my apologies, I was a little bit early, but David Yates starts his final lap then. Let's jump back. Oh, Jan Kowalski spins! No, he's in the wall and... Oh dearie me. Oh. That's so unfortunate for Jan Kowalski. He has done such a great job tonight. It looks like he'll unfortunately retire with just over 1 lap to go. I'm so sorry to see that, Jan. Really bad luck. So Richard Wilkes up into 5th, Ray Riddle up into 6th. And the fight for 3rd and 4th still not decided. There were about 7/10 between them, but Grant can still gain that back. And have a go in towards the end of this lap. But already 19 seconds ahead, lapping Brun Chacon, is David Yates. Oh dear, he is held up by Brun Chacon. Oh, will this actually give Canola a chance towards the end? Oh, Canola actually tries for the cutback, not able to do it, and David Yates holds on to take the win here tonight with a fantastic drive. From start to finish, first for David Yates, second for Thierry Canola, great recovery drive from after his early troubles with a drive-through, putting him at the back. And Brian Yannick actually takes the 3rd position here, just about holds on ahead of Grant Riddle. 5th will be Richard Wilkes, with 6th for Ray Riddle, 7th for Peter Lovac, and 8th will be Raoul Yerev. Ninth looks to be Jason Whited, a good solid drive yet again from Jason to pick up a very good finish here. Adam Hackman as well, a likewise solid drive for the Quaker team, looking to pick up the final top 10 position in 10th obviously. Mick Chapman finishes 11th for Team Penske, Jason White picks up 12th. 13th unfortunately retired for Jan Kowalski, 14th for Dave Miller, so I believe a few points for you, Dave, so very good job.
Yep, I'm happy with that result.
And Bruno Chacon, I believe, picks up the final points in 15th for Porsche North America, so again by plugging away and staying out of most of the trouble tonight, Bruno is rewarded with a point or two. Unfortunately, our retirees were Jan Kowalski, Austin Johnson, Martin Lassina, Jason Fitch, Juha Bors, David Saber, Richard Coxon, Gerard Rion, and Lucas Vidra. But David Yates picks up another win in this championship, so big congratulations to him for that. Really good drive from him. Thank you all, just waiting for a few moments, see if anyone wants to jump in and chat with us, but looks like everyone is spent after this race. Including Dave.
It's one of the more physical races I've done recently.
I can imagine that's a very bumpy track and obviously a lot of hard work. As we are now joined by Jason White. Good evening, Jason.
Hey, how's it going? I understand my teammate won. Jake's.
Yeah, David won the race, put on a hell of a drive and scored a win, which is great for him, and it puts him right back in the championship hunt.
He's benefited too by there were several high-profile DNFs.
Oh, for sure.
That'll level out the playing field a lot. Oh man, this was a really difficult race. I feel blessed to even get 1 point for 12th. It was like I felt perfectly comfortable running by myself, but anytime I was around other people, it was really nerve-wracking. Because I don't know what Dave's experience was, but there were a couple of times that it just ends up making you kind of gun shy going into corners. You want to drive as quick as you can, but you have no clue what this guy in front of you is going to do. You know what I mean, Dave? Dave?
Sorry, I missed that one. Please say again.
I'm just saying that it was. I'm just saying that it was hard to predict what was going to happen in corners sometimes, or sometimes somebody would do something that would totally throw off your rhythm. Dave?
Yeah, saw that. Oh. Yes, it's just gone in there. Yeah, apologies if that wasn't what you're referring to.
No, I'm not referring to you. I had a few issues myself. I got to apologize to Mick for having a bit of contact with him. It wasn't anything that caused damage to either of us, but it caused me to spin. Thankfully, he kept going. But I feel for the guys who were being lapped because there was really no good place to let people by, and it seems really strange considering it's the widest track we race on.
Well, it's also the bumpiest, so that ought to be one of the reasons why that's difficult. Just imagine nowadays when, well, maybe not this year, but in the recent years where the track has been narrowed even more. In terms of the racing surface they are allowed to use.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm happy to be back on an oval in a few weeks. One that I like.
I actually don't remember where we're going next.
For the next round is the Marlboro 500.
Oh, well that ought to be a good one. That's one of the closest finishes we've had here at HSO.
Yeah, it ought to produce a good result. It's also close to the hometown of the driver that drove in my car. Scott Brayton was from Coldwater, and I've been there. It's a town just a little south of MIS.
Okay.
It's one of those little sleepy towns in Michigan. One bar, one laundromat, one of everything.
One of those typical small town things, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, let's see.
Well, Mrs. Dave will be happy that we survived, Dave.
Yeah, certainly it looks like she's happy. As is Barry Lynn.
Oh yeah, yeah. She and Barry Lynn are in the stands cheering with pennants and stuff. Oh goodness.
Well,
so next week we have, or coming up on Wednesday we have BTCC at Thruxton, right?
Yep. The DHL International Race Day at Thruxton starts at 2000 CET for official practice, then it's 20:35 for qualifying 1, and the first race starts at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Did you do the trivia?
Yep, I've done the trivia. Did that?
Cool.
Did I answer the last yellow?
Did anyone get it right?
Yep, Berlin got it right.
Ah.
And we also have, I believe it's next weekend, the first round of the 1973 British Formula 3 Championship with the BRDC 25th International Trophy and the 26th RAC John Player British Grand Prix rounds, both of them at Silverstone, I think.
I think so, yes. And since it's since it's 73, that means it's the version sans chicane at Woodcote, which means it'll be fun there, especially in those cars. I'm not taking part in that. Dave, are you taking part in that series?
I am.
I'm not taking part. Maybe I'll do a broadcast then.
Well, if you broadcast, I will try to take part.
All right. Well, let me double check my schedule, make sure there's nothing in the way, and I'll. It's going to be it's two events actually in one, right?
Yep, it is. I believe it's 30 and then 20 laps or something like that.
Cool.
So that kind of situation between the events, generally on the same track for both events at the same evening. I believe it's only one time where it's two different tracks. So definitely looking to be a great championship. The cars are very close. We did the Thruxton race there, I believe it was last year for one of the Gold Star events, which
that was
you
our test
broadcasted.
For the, Yep, and it was fun. There was a lot of exciting stuff that went on, so it ought to make a good broadcast.
Certainly. Yeah. Well, we'll certainly sort out something for that series.
Well, Jonathan, do you have a car? Oh, here's my teammate.
Congratulations, David, on the win tonight.
Thank you. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for the broadcast.
Good job, David.
That was a tough race, man. That track is every lap was just hanging on. So I'm definitely wore out after that.
Well, the McKinsey Financial people will be happy with you.
Well, I think
Indeed.
And I think everyone will be spent after that one. That's probably the most tricky and difficult track we'll see this season. Or what do you think from the driver's seat?
Yeah, like I gotta say, thanks to Mick, we went through a bunch of setup options, really trying to find a combo that would work, and really in the end, it wasn't that. It was like earth-shattering. It was just practice, knowing what it was going to do, and then during the race, just not going over the limit and just keeping it going forward, which hopefully I was able to do, even though it was hairy quite a few times.
Well, we saw quite a few drivers have quite a few scares. I actually didn't catch more than maybe one for you, so looked like you were well in control of the car for most, if not all, of the race. So
it was definitely it took some restraint. I was definitely holding back just to try to keep it from going too far, because just one, you hit the bump just the wrong way, and you're not responsive to it, and you just drive normal. Oh, now it's too much throttle for the way you hit it, and now you slid the car, and now the tires are too hot, and it's a downward spiral from there. So I just did everything in my power to not get to that scenario.
David, did you get in scenarios where the tires just overheated suddenly and all the grip went away?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There, you get one little slide on, and you got to be careful the next couple corners.
I noticed that. Like I had a slide in a corner. The next thing I knew, the next few corners, the car was almost undrivable. I was like scared of, and then I lost all the time I had gained on somebody. I'm like, oh jeez. So yeah, this is probably without a doubt one of the most difficult tracks we'll have in the calendar this year.
It was definitely managing that the entire race.
Well, we also have the Michigan 500 coming up next in the championship. What are your thoughts on that one, David? Do you reckon you ought to be able to win now, or is it a question of damage limitation? Or how's it looking, do you think?
Well, it's definitely a different style of racing for what we just did. So we're back to the the flat out big ovals. Cosworth's a little down on power, but we can run with them in the draft. So it's a 500 miler. Anything can happen. So I'm not writing anything off. So every race is its own thing. You got to do as good as you can in every race.
Sounds good. And what about you, Jason, and you, Dave? What are you
Dave,
thinking
you
about the 500?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. This is where my lack of experience of oval setups will probably come and bite me, but I'll give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah, it's the trick to doing well at Michigan is staying on the lead lap and just being there at the end, because it's going to be a high attrition race. It always was, because the track, especially like in the I mean, not so much in '88, but in the '90s, definitely was a car breaker because of how all the frost heaves in the track. So it's bumpy. The version we have isn't bumpy, so that's not a problem. But it's going to be there's probably going to be some high-speed crashes that are going to occur. So and really close quarters action. I think the best course of action is just try to stay in the lead lap, stay out of trouble, and be there for the last 100 miles. And even though David's concerned about having a Cosworth, at least you don't have a Judd.
Well, anybody that doesn't have the Chevy's at the mercy, but like you said, the focus should be staying on the lead lap, because it's going to be a big attrition race.
Hook up and don't lose a slipstream, whatever you do. If you lose a slipstream, you're done for. Thanks for broadcasting, Jonathan. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you yourselves for putting on a great show, and again, congratulations on finishing, guys, and big congratulations, Dave, on taking the win in the race and putting yourself right back in the championship hunt. I believe Thierry Canola will have taken over the championship lead. But yeah, with that, I think we'll cap off the broadcast for this evening. I hope you all enjoyed the racing and the somewhat too many yellows possibly, but it was good racing in between, so really good fun to watch. And yeah, see you all in presumably a week's time. Not sure if I'll be in the booth or if Jason will be. We'll know later this week, but until then, take care
We'll
and
figure it
have
out.
a great week.
Bye.
User left your channel.